Chairman Peterson, Vice Chairman Thomas, Ranking Member Humphrey, members of the committee. My name is John Laws. Yes, it really is, L-A-W-S. I'm from South Lebanon, Ohio, House District 56. Since there's been some lively discussion on we as Ohioans, I will throw in that I'm a graduate of Ohio High School. I'm also a double graduate of Ohio Public University. So I've been around a while. I'm going to skip through a few things here, so if you're following along on your iPads, I may skip a few paragraphs. But today, I was going to discuss an opposition statement that we often get about amending the Constitution will provide no benefit because the federal government does not follow the Constitution now anyway. Well, I can appreciate the federal government doesn't follow the Constitution now, and I know I've expressed that sentiment myself on several occasions. While I am not a constitutional attorney, nor a constitutional scholar, I've learned that to comprehend the subject, one must first recognize that the federal government is not required to follow the original Constitution as written by our founders. Rather, it's required to follow the Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court of the United States. That's a major difference. The improper accumulation of power by the federal government and the departure from the following Constitution as originated by our framers has risen in a sense from the Constitution itself. The Constitution permits the Federal Judiciary to be the final arbiter, interpreter of the Constitution. Because the framers did not have a great deal of experience in the practice of judicial review, they did not assign adequate checks and balances on the judiciary's branch of government, did not foresee how the Supreme Court would legislate from the bench. So once you understand this, it becomes clear how the federal government can justify some of its actions. The Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court today is the problem. This interpretation allows the federal government to engage in undeclared wars, provide government agencies with the capability to spy on us, the US citizens, you, massive federal debt and devaluation of our currency. I think we've all lived through a lot of that in the last 2 years. Executive agreements with foreign powers without Senate ratification, which is a direct violation of the US Constitution, and the deregulation of rulemaking to unelected bureaucrats. We've had that discussion on many topics by my compatriots here today. I'm going to skip the next 3 or 4 paragraphs and go to the summary, because again, you have a cushion and I don't, and I'm getting a little tired. So, in conclusion, the claim that many of the Constitution provide no benefit because the federal government doesn't abide with the Constitution anyway is a bit misleading because it naively overlooks the fact that it's not the original Constitution. It's the one approved, authorized, and promoted by the Supreme Court. Through changes to the existing Constitution using an Article 5 convention, we can resolve most of this, or at least improve our lot in life and where we are with everything that we live and do. So it could return us to a separation of powers that's more acceptable. It could return us to closer to the federalism that our country was originally founded on. And I would add, in doing this research and talking to many people, I probably knocked on 500 doors last year. Republicans, Democrats, non-committed. And at least 80% of those doors I knocked on approved of the 3 principles we're presenting to you today, Article 5. And we had many lively conversations about all the things that are going on. And I heard some of those exact feelings expressed from those folks out in the field too, on both sides of the aisle. So we need to do something. We need to move forward as a country. And we do have a huge divide in front of us. And a person mentioned that today. Let's try to build a bridge across that divide. Let's use the Article 5 process to get that done, to make progress, to push this forward. Because if we continue to ignore the ability that we're given in the Constitution to make that attempt, we're not going to go any further than we are today. Thank you for having me.